What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fans? This your boy JB, host of the Behind the Bench podcast network and channel. Just want to give a shout out to the rest of the crew. I'm talking about Shy, Kelvin, and Jermaine. And for everyone who's tuning in, I hope that you support Behind the Bench, become a subscriber, and help make this show the best that it can be. Now, here is a dilemma, if there ever was one. And it's the $1,000,000 question. Now, we see these two players right here, Larry Bird and LeBron James, right? Both were and are superstars. But check this out. I've heard a lot of pundits say when the debate between who's the better player between Larry Bird and LeBron James, right? And I've heard some of these pundits, some of these talking heads, when the question is asked, who would you rather have the first 46 minutes of a game, and who would you rather have the last 2 minutes of a game? Now check this out. I've heard a pundit say they would rather have LeBron James for the first 46 minutes because of his overall statistical dominance and production on the court, right? But would rather have Larry Bird in the last 2 minutes of the game because of the intangibles, to hit big shots, to be clutch, to hit free throws. So I asked myself, when you look at their career statistics, I'm not focusing on who played longer because we know LeBron James has played 20 years in the NBA. Larry Bird played 12 years, mainly due to a chronic back injury that he started to suffer from in 1987 up until his retirement in 1992. Now, LeBron entered the NBA in 2003. He's currently still playing in the league. Bird entered the NBA in 1979. So he played 12 seasons, right? But when you look at their averages per game, well, let's look at it. Career-wise, LeBron has averaged 27, 7, and 7, right? Bird averaged 24, 10, and 6, meaning 24 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists per game. Now, mind you, Larry Bird was playing alongside a Hall of Fame or traditional prototype point guard and Dennis Johnson, better known as DJ, right? And Bird was still able to average 6 assists per game. Now, LeBron James has always been the primary playmaker for his teams, right? And he's averaged a little over 7 assists a game. Let's just say 7.5. Okay. All right, so when you think about it, 27 points a game is only 3 points a game more than 24 points a game. And he has achieved that production in an era that shoots significantly more 3-point shot attempts than when Larry Bird played in the league, when he was considered the best shooter in the game, right? Okay, so we're talking about a 3-point per game difference, but Larry Bird averaged 3 more rebounds a game, right? At 10. Then when you look at the free throws, LeBron's a career 73% free throw shooter. Larry Bird is like 88.5 to 89%. So basically, let's just say for the most part, their production at that position of small forward is identical, right? So to me, if you're saying, or that particular pundit or talking head is saying that they rather choose Larry Bird in the last 2 minutes of the game, when their production is basically identical during the first 46 minutes of the game, then to me, the player that you would rather have down the stretch to win a ball game or a tight ball game, a close game, playoff game, whatever you want to call it. To me, the player that you choose in the last 2 minutes of the game is the better player. To where his production in the first 3 quarters will put the team in a position where you wouldn't even have to choose between either or. See, it's like they undermine their own argument before it even starts. Most NBA games come down to about the last 4 or 5 minutes, let's say. So if you're going to choose Larry Bird because of the intangibles, the ability to hit free throws down the stretch, to hit big shots, to be clutch, or to make a big play on defense, because we know Larry Bird has made a lot of big plays on defense, particularly in the playoffs. You know, the steal on Isaiah Thomas. You know, steal by Bird underneath the DJ. He lays it in. Oh, what a play by Bird. Right? And as Danny Ainge said about the Detroit Pistons, they forgot about Larry Bird. So when you think about it, it's like the 2-minute warning of a football game. Well, that's the most crucial point of a game. That's if the game is close. Right? So if you're going to tell me that Larry Bird is better in the last 2 minutes of the game versus LeBron James, then that would mean, in the grand scheme of things, Larry Bird is the better player because you trust him to close the game out down the stretch. When I mean close, I'm talking about really close. Whatever it is that you need. Free throw, big shot, clutch shot, big play on defense. And I'm not saying that LeBron has not made a defensive play at the end of a game, but I'm saying more often than not, Larry Bird was known more for doing so. He played great team defense, and he just had intuition out there on the court, man, that was rare. That allowed him to win 3 consecutive league MVPs. So to me, in closing, I just think about that a lot. I'm like, how can you choose a guy? How can you say that a player that you would choose in the first 46 minutes of the game, but you wouldn't choose him in the last 2 minutes, then how can you say he's the better player? Because even if we look at team record, I mean, throughout the 80s, Boston was winning on average, let's just say 60 wins a season. So you can't even say that a LeBron-led team on average won more regular season games. Outside of 09 and 010, where Cleveland won 66 games and then 61 games. And then the 1 year in Miami when they racked off the 27 consecutive victories during the, I believe that was the 2012-2013 season. And they wound up winning 66 games. But in his second stint back in Cleveland, they never won 60 games. And since he's been with the Lakers, they have now won 60 games. So I'm just saying, even during the regular season, you can't, if you're going to say would rather have Larry Bird down the stretch, then to me, in the grand scheme of things, even when you're trying to suggest that, I'm just going by their argument. Even if you're concluding that LeBron is better, but in all actuality, you're saying that he's not because you don't trust him to close the game out the way you would Larry Bird. Because a lot of times, the last 2 minutes of the game is the difference between winning and losing. And Larry Bird was always known as being clutch. Always. That's why they call him Larry Legend. So, it's just one of those thoughts I had I wanted to share. Like I said, at the end of the day, they undermine their own argument when really you shouldn't be saying I'd rather have one guy first 46 minutes and then another guy last 2 minutes. Who would you rather have the full 48 minutes is the question. So I just want to throw that out there. Until next time, this is JB for BTB Behind the Bench.